There we go. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody is well. Welcome to Morning Jumpstart. Feedback for students. I'm Jason Meyer, and today, Thursday, I'm trying to get there. We don't always do it. I'm try to start the week on Tuesdays, right? Lay something out really basic and then ramp it up by the time we get to Thursday. So hopefully you're going to see the progression from just the really base raw idea into a little more refinement, how that looks as you learn to work with it and with the other things. That's the idea for the show, so we'll see what we do. I always work with the student work, so it kind of depends on what comes in and what goes out. But I think we're in pretty good shape this morning. So good morning, Susan. Good morning, Susan. Let's see here. I think I have everything set up. Before we go into this, I was looking for one last... I thought we might start by looking at some water and fish and underwater paintings. And I'm missing one in particular. So if you guys will give me just a second, I want to see if I can locate that. Because before I start on something like this, I like to kind of hone in my idea. Like, you know, what are the possibilities, in which direction do I want to go? Right? Rather than just kind of stumbling into it and go, well. If I can picture it more clearly in my head, we're going to be way better off. Way better off. Why is this thing being so elusive tonight? I think it'll be worth it if I can find it. Tonight, and it's morning time. Night, morning. Oops, there's another fish painting. That's not what I'm looking for, but we'll take it. We'll take it. All right, well, we may have to come back to that. I don't want to get too much more into this. Gosh darn it. That's so hard to let go, isn't it? It's so hard to let go. All right, well, we'll let go of that. Let's go back to our original fish painting that's way up here now. And look at some fish. Look at some fish, but more importantly, what we want to look at is the water. And from the perspective of under the water. Right? Well, I guess, and that's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for, so we don't necessarily have that, but we do have water. Do have water. Man, somebody has to organize these photos. My goodness. How many photos does one person need? Here we go. All right. So let's have a look here. So one of the things I want you to notice is how the water is not even. Right? I want to forget the fish for right now. Forget the land right now. I want to concentrate only on the water. And what the water is doing, not in terms of some touchy-feely thing, but in terms of value, hue, right? How large is it? What's the shape of it? What are the edges as it meets other things? So when I'm looking at the water, that's the qualities I'm looking for. That's the qualities I'm looking for. What's the difference between this part of the water and that part of the water? And how does the water move from here to here? And how does it go from there to here? Right, these are what I have to do on my canvas, right? I have to decide, is this dark going to go all the way to the edge, or is it going to lighten up just a little bit here on the edge? And then get a little bit darker around this fish where I want an area of focus. Can you guys see that? It's pretty subtle, but this is darker than that. So look, he's got a dark here and a dark here, which pinches. And also, where does he have the lightest light? Right there. So by doing that, he's helping us focus here on the fish. So we're getting to focus here with seemingly no hard, it's slippery, right? The focus is slippery. Why would you want a slippery focus? I don't know, maybe you're painting fish. What's the nature of that highlight? Does the nature of this white mark stop you? Or does it flow? Okay, so as we paint fish and want to up this a bit, right, we need to understand some of these movements. We need to understand some of these movements and some of our options with these movements. By the way, I believe this artist, if I've got this right, is Derek Phoenix. Derek Phoenix. As far as I know, he is a living, working artist unless something unexpected has happened in the last year or two that I am unaware of. But again, what are the nature of the marks on the fish versus the nature of the marks on the water? Is the water completely flat? No, there's a little variation in there. But are you going to confuse the water for the fish? You know, even though there may be some reflections and deeper fish down there, right? A little glistening here and there, it still is clearly divided. So the challenge on this is making it realistic, and realistic involves, you know, these fish not looking like metal and looking like they're in water. Okay, so this is more of a darker water that's holding all of the fish. Now granted, this is looking from above and we're going underneath on our water. And man, am I upset that I couldn't find that painting. Am I upset I couldn't find that underwater painting. But you know what? We'll just live with my my rough emotions. My upset. And water's not always blue, is it? Right? Water can be very dark. It can reflect the sky and the shadow, or it could be hit by a warmer light. Now, a lot of the color of the water is what's underneath it or what it's reflecting. Notice how there's a little lighter things here, and that lighter doesn't come in and build a concrete wall to make this shape. But the dark gets a little bit more colorful and a little lighter. The light, or in this case this is really gray, but if we consider dark to light, right, the lightest, and then it gets a little darker and grayer as it gets closer to the other. So that's a softer handoff. Now, look at all of this. But are you going to confuse this for that? Or even this for light? No, it holds its place. It holds its place. Look, we can come through any place in here and we can make out what's going on. But again, if we look at this in terms of just values, There. That's probably better for you guys. What? Do you see the secret sauce now? What's that secret sauce? Well, where is the actual light? Do you see how clear that is? And then that steps off to a little bit darker light. So maybe a number 1 and a number 2. But look, here the number 2 is in shadow. Where's our number 3? Our number 3 is the light on the water. And then number 4 is the water and the darks on the ducks. But there's a definite pattern here. So just because we're going underwater does not mean, right, that we're going to lose our structure. But some of these are difficult because, again, where the one meets the other in water, ooh, it can be tricky. Because we don't want it so clear, but we also need to clearly separate our darks from our lights and not go light, dark, light. Now, there's one of that, right? And that's kind of a dot dot, but it doesn't go light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. Right? If you're doing that, make it on purpose. But there's got to be a dark that holds together, a light that holds together. I know if you're just seeing this for the first time, this may look like dot, 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 dot. I promise you it's not. I promise you it's not. You see how well those values hold together? Forget the ducks. Forget the ducks. Right? The value structure is there, and again, it's grouped. It's grouped. All right. I needed to see that this morning. I needed to see that this morning. I don't know how you guys felt about it. Are you guys onto this trick now? Turning things into black and white so you can actually see what's going on? So you're not seduced by the color? How about that for a light shape? How does that light shape compare to that light shape, or even that light shape? Well, this light shape is more duck-like, fish-like. How's that for some technical terms for you? Fish-like shapes, but more elusive, slippery, right? What's a slippery shape? Well, if some of you are around, you might have heard me talk about keyholes. What's a keyhole? Well, you see this dark inside this, well, that locks that up. You see that kind of, right? That locks it up. If it's too rounded, if everything's rounded with no straights, we could just slide out of there. Hey, speaking of rounded with no really straights, why are these fish just sliding right through there? Now, even when it, right, a little bit round, but there's no corner to catch, there's nothing to stop it, right? That can still slide right through the water. So as you do fins or whatever, you've got to make sure they're not too catchy, right? The front of the fish can't be too catchy. If it's too catchy, the fish won't slide. All right, has everybody left me? Has everybody just assumed I've lost it? Assumed I've lost it? 15 minutes of what? What was that? But again, these shapes, these shapes. I mean, look how powerful. Right? Would this be a time for a round, circle, happy shape? No. Is this thing going to slide right through his arms like fish through water? No. He is locked into that shape that's slipping away. And how great and powerless he is to try to hold on to the light. Okay, so when we're talking number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, right? It's not touchy-feely, but that does not mean that you cannot manage these shapes to be emotionally powerful, dramatic and sad. Are these shapes the same? How are they different? Is the light everywhere? Is it trying to be locked up anywhere, or is it free to just light up and flow over everything? Now, we still have some dark in here. We still have some darks. Don't you get me wrong. But what are these darks? What's the difference in the darks? Right? They're both darks. A dark's a dark because a light's a light, right? Right? Isn't a number 1 value a number 1 value, period? Doesn't a number 1 value always look the same? So can't you tell me something besides a number 1? I mean, it's a number 1. Number 1's number 1. I mean, what do you want me to do? Well, what I want you to do is get sensitive to all the things that number 1 can do. Okay? And you have to be aware of the emotional impact of what the paint is doing, of what the values are doing, of what the shapes are doing, of what the edges are doing. Because yeah, I don't want you coming to me, oh, I want it to not. No. Not until you can show me that you understand what that feeling is in 4 values with edges. Okay, you guys see the difference there? Even in a fish painting, look at the difference. So there is not a right way to paint these things. You have to invent a beautiful way. Now let me ask you, is this fish equal to that fish, equal to that fish, equal to that? No? Okay, but do we go light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light? No, look, all that light's gathered here. And then all these fish are it lays off. And then it grows. And then these basically hold as a single value. Can you see that? Do you see this whole shape holds together as a single? God knows how many fish that is. But he hasn't gone and painted a bunch of individual fish here. He's painted an idea of a light, a certain kind of light, a certain shape of light, in a certain place on the canvas, and he's talked about how he's going to get there and how he's going to leave. Right? He doesn't magically transport hard-edged one fish and then magically somehow get over here, even though there's no path, there's no journey, and then magically end up over here. No, that never feels real, because that's not what life is. It's not how we live. Okay, all right. Let's. We gotta get back to the ground. We've got to get back to the ground, but I want you guys to understand how what you're seeing can really so much better be understood in black and white. Why isn't there the movement on this? Is this a lot closer to a square? Is it locked up over here in a corner? Right? But there's still some good balance here, don't get me wrong. And there's balance here. What do you mean there? Well, look where the most is. So all the most is right? In line with the sun and the light, and then we're falling off as we go off of that. Do we go from darker to lighter grayer? Do we go from darker to lighter grayer? And do we go from lighter, from white, to darker grayer instead of lighter grayer? Yes, and that's why this is so powerful, moving you back. What about the sizes? What is this first dark? It comes, look how far that comes down, guys. Our first dark. And then look at the second one. Oh, you didn't see that before? Look, 1, 2, and then look, 3 starts to level out, and 4 levels out even more. Less even. Okay. All right, we're too far in the deep end. Hold on. Somebody save me. Somebody save me. All right, what's happening? Shakti, Susan, Claudia. Hello, hello, hello. Good, Susan. Good. So I hope you're nice and warmed up, because you are up. You are up, my friend. Let me get my magic glove on that gives me my magic art powers and keeps all the oils on my hands off the iPad so my pencil doesn't go screaming all over the screen. And let's see, we got some buttons we got to press. Boom. So I hope you see this, Miss Barbara. I know she's busy, but Susan did put this squarely on your shoulders. She blamed you for this, so we wanted to make sure everybody knew that this was your fault. Your fault, Susan. Not Susan, Barbara. Hey, Paula. Welcome. Paula's relatively new around here and has been in the Procreate class and been doing some fun stuff and shared some things with me. And don't worry, Paula. She did not want that seen, I don't think, so no worries. We're not here to embarrass anybody, but keep working and keep doing what you're doing. So let's talk about a fish composition here. And so Susan, for those of you who don't know, is the same one who's been doing a lot of work here. And when I say a lot of work, boy, she redid this rabbit in the martini how many times? And it's hard once you got it down in paint to change these ideas and stuff. Right? But now that she's been through it and she knows what we're looking for, now with the charcoal study, right, the note comes, I want to work out all of my problems before I start painting. Right? And if you understand what it takes, that's the attitude, because it's just too hard to start a painting until you can clearly see the finish. Know where your dark shape goes, know where your light shape goes, know where the movement is. Right? Let's work this stuff out in charcoal, in an easy medium, on Procreate. Right? Let's get our idea clear, and then let's get the paint out. Okay. I love it, Shakti. So Shakti wants to know, Mrs. Susan, is there no end to your awesomeness? What a joy to watch. So fun, right? But I've been banging home to you guys. Sometimes I think nobody hears anything I say. Different, you know? Not big and small. No, that's not big to small. That's not big to small. No, that's not big to small. That's not big to small. And nobody's getting it. Nobody gets it. Here comes Susan. That's big to small. Oh, my heart is so happy. My heart is so happy. Right? And now this is completely different from what Barbara's doing. And so I hope this starts sparking your imagination to not being locked into, oh, I saw this and I got to do it exactly. No. Try to understand what they're doing and then make it your own. Make it your own. All right, so just so you can see me, how excited I get over here. How I get endless creativity. Yes. Yes. All right. So, you know, Susan, for those of you who don't know, is a scientist. And a science teacher, worked at San Diego Zoo with animals. Scientist. Right? And I think this goes true for anybody good in their field like math, right? Probably even accounting. But once you get off the basics, it all turns to beauty and the art of it. Right? The big and the small. So good. Oh, Paula, keep hanging around. I want to work out all the problems when there are no problems. Yeah, well, and that's an important insight, to understand what is the problem, right? And not think, oh, I want to do this, but you're aware of what the canvas is actually doing. So on that note of what the canvas is actually doing, what is this canvas actually doing? Yeah, guys, this, and I do, Paula's new, and you already got a feeling for this, I think, Paula, but anybody out there watching, we do create this space to where we can be creative and we can let these ideas be born and we can take care of them and nourish them and try things and help them grow, right? We should all be thinking about these works as our children, right? And I think if you're thinking properly, you would be crazy to think that you wanted nobody else to ever talk to or influence your child, right? For your child to be the best it can possibly be, you want it to be exposed to all kinds of ideas that you are unaware of, so that they have more options than you had, right? And so if we can think of as a community as we're all raising this child, then we can be supportive, right? And not, hey, send that kid to juvie. He ran his bicycle through my lawn. Well, I'm exaggerating, of course. But that's the atmosphere that I demand that we foster around here, right? And it's why most of us are here. And it's also the reason that I can be so direct and honest with you guys, right? Because I'm not ever trying to tear anybody down, but I'm always about building you up. But in order to be built up, we've got to see it accurately, right? If you're seeing it through a fantasy lens, I'm not helping you by perpetuating that fantasy lens, right? But by kind of smashing those lenses sometimes, I'm never doing that to take you down, but I'm doing it so you can see more clearly so that you have more power. All right. Man, that's a lot of talking. How about some drawing? Woof. How about some drawing? Somebody saying shut up and draw out there? Shut up and draw? All right, so what were we after? Well, we were after finding the actual value pattern on here. And I keep doing this hoping that maybe it disorients you enough to where you can't even see fish, right? And maybe it gets so small and blurry on your screen you can't make out any detail, right? Because all I want you to notice is what the light-dark pattern is doing, right? I don't care if this is a bunch of cockroaches. I don't care if this is a portrait. I don't care if this is a landscape, I don't care. I have love in my heart, but I don't care about that. I care about that light-dark pattern. And why do I care about that? Because that's where the power of the piece lies. Okay, so here's our highlight. Right, so this is our main light here. And so if the light's coming from this side, basically what it's doing is it's coming down from there. Right, so that means the sun is in this part of the sky, and it means this part of the sky is a little darker, which we could interpret as beams of sun flowing in through here, and then we're looking up here, but what we're seeing back here is deeper. We're seeing through water, 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 right? Where here we're seeing water, water, sky, water, what, sky, water, water, sky, water. So we can get darker and darker as we go over here, if we wanted to, right? And then that, and the same thing I think with the water, we could get a bit darker over here, and then this is actually deeper, right? And we're looking through more water. And why would I want to do that? Well, that oh my goodness. There we go. Holds our light. Okay, so by holding the light, we get structure, and the object becomes substantial, actuated. Right? And then I think this also goes with the ideas is with a little spark out there, we could clean through there. Right? So the idea I think you're going for is kind of the build out through here, and then our big stuff, and dot, dot, dot. And along with this big stuff, we could have a few things. Oh, don't line them up like I just did. Bad, Jason. Bad, Jason. something. And the same down here, we could have these little things sparking. Because remember, we're underwater. So this doesn't have to be all clear, right? We don't have to have these hard edges. And if we do have hard edges everywhere, it can tend to lock us up. So I'm going to issue a special little challenge here to you, Susan. Okay? So here's my challenge to you. And I could be wrong here, but in my mind, what little bit I know about these fish is, look, this guy is giant. At least in relation to these guys. But it's a pretty big fish. It's a pretty big, unless these guys are microscopic, that is a pretty big fish. So, and I think you're already onto this. So I love the idea of some structure on him. Right? These hard, right? I really like that, because that harder structure, what that does is it adds weight. Right? Weight we might not want on here. But we could still use these same darks You see the difference in the edge? And I would probably even come back more, and I would have my water a little darker. Right, and so we can soften these edges. So even though that dark is there, it's not going to appear nearly as dark. Or another way of saying that is it will not have the visual weight. Okay? Does that make sense there? So I like where you're going with the weight of the big fish. I think the little fish, right, could use a little less definition and a little more movement. And it seems, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I believe Einstein kind of, was it Einstein? Anyway, that literally the larger the animal, kind of the slower they experience things and times. Now I know that's not 100% true. So this is slow and steady. And these are fast and wiggly. Fast and wiggly. So what is a big, heavy, sturdy shape? What does that look like? And what does a moving little shape look like? So I can come back even here with this. With the dark that you have here. And again, I think we want to catch, and in addition to catching this, I think this is going to give us a chance to maybe have an open edge here or there. Right, that's pretty deep down there. So let's go ahead and let it say, because this is further down in the water. A little further in the water. Beat. Maybe these fish are even, the light isn't as strong down deeper, and it could get just a little bit more prominent as we come up. Now, you know, you may want something more dramatic, but I think we need to kind of quiet the whole canvas down, right, with a sort of gray or a dark. And the reason for that is what I think you would like to see. I don't think I've ever used that. Let's try that one, see what that does. And again, so if this is deeper, maybe these are like this. And so let's just assume this is deep. That is about entirely too big. Maybe literally you're just going to see some kind of a little abstract dance down there. And then as we start to come up, right, and I think when I got to the big fish, I would loosen off on the highlights and pick up on, let's see if this works out. Let's see. I think pick up on some of these darks a little bit, and these could be a little bit clearer. And look how else we could describe this. If the light is coming down here, it might cast a little shadow over on this guy. Right? And so maybe a shadow helps wrap around there, right? You don't want it like I have it. Meaning like metal or something. You know, those fish are swimming, but you could let that be a little bit darker. And now again, I wouldn't be as quite as descriptive as I'm being right here. What we have to remember, I think I was talking with Shakti the other day, and you've got to consider who's going to be seeing this. Okay? And who's going to be seeing this. And precisely what they love and what they hate. Well, that's too big of an ask of us. Because each person that comes to this canvas is going to bring something unique. Their unique fears, their unique loves, their unique likes. Right? So, in order to have more impact with more people, we do that by keeping things more universal. And at first, this seems less personal. But let me try to convince you that more universal is actually more personal. Right? So I heard it described like this. Oops, that is a wrong button. I heard it described like this. You know, imagine you have a book and there's a movie. and it's about, it's a scary movie, and this is about a bad guy, right? And so in the book, I'm starting to tell you about the bad guy, right? And how bad and how evil. And I mean, he's done things. I mean, just imagine the worst thing you could ever imagine somebody doing, right? And then multiply that by 100. I mean, this guy's he's just pure evil. There's nothing, I don't know what to say. It's hard to say, right? So that's the description in the book. But if we go to the movie, guess what? I'm going to have an actor that's got to be a certain size with a certain sound of a voice. And he's going to have to be doing particular things. Now, that particular thing to a small portion of the population might be very scary. But to a lot of other things, that particular thing doesn't have much effect on them. But in better than describing a particular, if I just said the worst possible human you can imagine, well, then you're going inside yourself, and whatever your personal feelings are about the worst things, those come up. I'm not having to pick a particular and then hope you agree that that's horrible. Do you see the little flip there? Yeah, there we go. Okay, I know that was we've been a little heady today. Sorry about that, guys. But that's just how I am. That's how I am, so I'm not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Is that how it goes? Anyway, I might think of something like this. And let's see. Layering up. Who needs the layer up? Layering up for non-oil painters. I'm just joking there, but I can't soften edges and stuff between layers. And again, like some of these, as they turn, the side won't be highlighted, but maybe just something at the top, right? And then at some point we go from this side being lit up to the opposite side being lit up because the form turns, right? Here this is lit, here this is, what happened to this is lit, right? Because this is the top here, but the bottom, it's the bottom down here, but as we follow, it becomes the top. The bottom becomes the top. Okay, so I hope that makes sense in how you're going to light these fish. Because it's amazing, but if you just put it along the side of these fish, you destroy the illusion that they're turning. Okay, so in one way you can be loose here, but you cannot be loose sometimes putting it on the shadow side, sometimes putting it on the light side, sometimes, because that's not going to read, that will confuse the viewer. But if you always get it on the light side, then we'll read that, right? And sometimes it might even, or you might have a dot over here, right, if you're looking through water. But never am I going to not put it here and instead put it on that side of the shadow down here. Okay? One other thing you could think about. And again, if this is all looking too much the same, and I don't know if these fish behave like this, but if the light is coming in, if there's anything underneath this fish, that fish is going to block that light. And so that might be, do you understand what I'm saying there? Right? So if those fish were underneath the big fish, and if the light's coming from here, maybe. But I like this because we save some light there, and then we're going to turn all those dark, and then we start to pick back up here. Or actually, let me go back. Actually, what I do is I would put that dark started over here and maybe like that. Because if I start it here, I get that. Let me change color so you guys can see. Right, so if these are underneath the fish, if we let the shadow go like that, then what happens? Look, this goes, no longer is this doing that, but that light can wrap around. And that's why I would push that shadow this way on the fish. But I would not cover these guys. I love starting right there. And so what that would look like is then those fish, again, maybe not clear, but there would be no light. It would just be darker. And I got to make sure I'm darker. These darker things scrolling through here. And maybe enough of an edge. And then back to light. Man, I'm in a mood today, huh? I'm in a mood today. I'm in the mood to be creative, right? So that goes back there, and then, and again, you let it grow, but, and we just little bitty starts there. Again, just don't get dot, 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 dot for every fish. Let some come, some go, but circle around that baby. Look at that. Oh my God, come on, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? All right, we've got to start an art business here. We got to start an art business. Because, I mean, that's just killer. I'm like kicking myself right now for being unable to find that artist. So I'm going to scroll through really quick here again. Let's see. I'm going to start at the bottom this time. See if I can't find this. Because it's just such a different color scheme than those darks swimming in the blue water. I think I showed it on one class or something the other day, but I can't remember what it was. Ooh, if I did, it's probably in that folder, huh? Scrolling. All right, then we'll have to look at comments. Sorry I didn't involve you guys more today. I was like locked and loaded. And sometimes we just have to roll with it. Roll with what we've got. So here's more fish. Again, can you see those things kind of happening now? See those things kind of happening? I'm going to get this off when I scroll through here, or else you guys will have a seizure or something. Oh, well. All right, I'll keep looking. But it doesn't seem like it's in the cards tonight. Maybe it hasn't made it into my art files because my photo files are so out of date. All right, anyway, all right. So, great. You're welcome, Susan. You give me... Well, you guys are great. I mean... What we want to do is take it from these objects and try to put an abstract light dark pattern on top of those objects where those objects can kind of emerge and fade away, right? And then that'll be interesting. And then if we just have this light dark pattern flickering and just a beautiful pattern through the canvas, that's great art. All right, I better shut down before we go on to 11. So, let's see. Let's do a little do-si-do here. Thank you so much for everybody who participated this week. I hope you're working on your work. We will have class in the morning. So, check in. If you guys have stuff you'd like to work at and talk on in the morning, send it over to me. If I don't get too many things from you, I'm going to be demoing something. I haven't decided exactly what yet. So by later this evening, I'll probably make up my mind by about 6 tonight. If I haven't gotten work, you guys are going to see some sort of demo. So if you want feedback on your work, get that in. If not, we're going to have a bona fide class tomorrow morning. All right, everybody. Off you go. You're welcome, Shakti. Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful, wonderful day. Be a beautiful, wonderful person. And your paintings will get more beautiful. I promise you. All right. Appreciate all of you guys. Much love. And we'll see you guys that aren't in class Sunday night for Sketch Club. Those of you who are in class, we'll see you tomorrow morning. And who knows what we got up our sleeves. It'll be fun, though. Bye, everybody.